Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. Back with another show as per usual. Now, it's different. The Premier League season has started. We won our first game yesterday against Man United, but everyone is still talking about the transfers that we might make. Can we add another player or two in terms of sales? Can we make any sales before getting the players that we need? There's still all the players that have been linked to the move away are still here. And yesterday, now, when we don't have injuries, there's a lot of players in the squad. Now, usually you want at least, 23, 24 players, just in case of the injuries and just in case of suspensions. You want players to be in the squad, enough players. But obviously, yesterday we saw that when everyone is fit and when everyone is playing, there's a few players who are going to miss out. Players like Zinchenko, players like Kivia. So we'll talk about all of those, as well as Saliba and these contract talks ongoing. We'll be talking about Rodrygo and Eze as well. Are those deals possible? Are those deals not possible? So let's start with William Saliba. According to Fabrizio Romano, Andrea Berta is now really focused on agreeing a new contract with William Saliba, and Arsenal want to go in strong. The Gunners are aware that he's high on Real Madrid's list and want to avoid an attack. I really hope we can get this one done. Now, it's well and good. I want Eze. I want us to get Rodrygo. We should get someone like a Leao. All of those signings would be very good for us. Signing players like Gyokeres, signing players like Declan Rice over the last couple of years, those have been big signings for us. But obviously, you need to keep your better players. I remember a couple of seasons ago, Gabriel was linked to the move away to Saudi Arabia. And I was like, no, we cannot let a player like this one go. That is literally the spine of our team. And after you watch yesterday's game, the reason why I'm able to say when Arsenal go 1-0 up in the 13th minute at Old Trafford, I'm able to say, yeah, we are not going to lose this game. The best that United can get in this game is a draw, is because of players like Gabriel and Saliba, because of how they defend. The way I know United got a few chances yesterday. Obviously, they're going to get chances. You're not going to lock them out completely in the first game at their place. No. But the way Gabriel and Saliba defend throughout the game, absolutely amazing. The way they put in those last-ditch blocks, the way they, clear the ball every single time, just the energy, the passion when we finish that game and keep a clean sheet, you can just tell they love defending. So players like Saliba, as much as we want to sign players, I also want us to sign players, but I would absolutely love we can keep Saliba as well. Saliba and Gabriel, new contracts, that would be great. In the same transfer window, that would be perfect. So Fabrizio says that Andrea Berta is now really focused on agreeing a new contract with William Saliba, and Arsenal want to go in strong. The Gunners are aware that he's high on Real Madrid's list and want to avoid an attack. Yeah, so if you give him a new contract right now, obviously Real Madrid cannot sign him on a free next year. The way they signed Trent Alexander-Arnold, the way they want to sign Konate, the way they're trying to sign Saliba, what they do is they wait for 6 months, 1 year before that contract ends, and they start speaking to your player, and they hope to, sign an initial contract where the player is going to join the next season on a free. No, make sure Saliba has like a 5-year contract going there, and or 5-year contract at Arsenal. So even if Real Madrid wants him, you tell them 250 million. If you want to get the player, you're not going to get him for free. So I've seen people arguing that, Arsenal never really sell players when they're their best. That's why you never really sell anyone, for a lot of money. That is true. We usually keep players a lot, but you cannot even consider selling players like Saliba and Gabriel. Absolutely not. Those players have been absolutely fantastic. If you're to ask me 2-3 players who really deserve to win the Premier League title, it's Saliba, Gabriel, and Saka. Those would be the ones I say first, because the way Saliba and Gabriel have been so consistent over the last 3 years, Gabriel for 5 years, and they keep on improving their game every single season, you have to keep them. So let's hope we can give Saliba that new contract. Let's not hear about him leaving and all that. And Saliba is going to be on a lot of money after he signs a new contract, or if he signs a new contract, he's going to be on a lot of money. I think he's going to be one of the highest paid players at Arsenal, and let's be honest, he would really deserve it. Right now is like, let me confirm that which number he is in terms of contracts. He is currently 7th in terms of wages, 190k per week. So his contract is expiring in 2027, a couple of years from now. So Madrid would probably start speaking to him next year. But if you extend that to like 2030 or even more than that, I think it's going to be on more than 190k per week for sure. It's going to probably go to like 200 and at least 60, 70 there. It's going to be like second or maybe even first in terms of the highest paid players at Arsenal, depending on where Saka will go after he signs a new contract. Probably Saka will be the highest, and then Saliba second or third. So So Saliba is only 24 years of age. That seems like a defender who's been playing for 10 years. The experience that he has, fantastic. So you cannot let go of a player like Saliba right now. You have to give him a new contract. So that's great. That's a player that's played really well yesterday. We had like 6 or 7 players who didn't play well yesterday. So one of the ones that played really well yesterday, he's probably going to sign a new contract. That is good news. Now, some other players are not going to sign new contracts. Saliba is going to sign a new contract, but there's still like 7 or 8 players who are expected to leave now. One of them is Alexander Zinchenko. According to Sky Sports, Fenerbahce are interested in signing Alexander Zinchenko and are understood to have explored the conditions of a deal. Now, obviously, Zinchenko is one of the players that wasn't even on the bench yesterday. When everyone is fit, there's a lot of players who are going to miss out. Like, you cannot have 9 defenders, 4 of them starting and 5 on the bench. No, that is why Kivior missed out on the bench yesterday. Zinchenko missed out from the bench yesterday. Even Nørgaard didn't really have a spot on the bench yesterday. Daumann was not on the bench yesterday. And there's still a lot. If Jesus comes back and he doesn't leave, is he going to be on the bench? Is he going to be left out in that match day squad? And there's a lot more. There is a lot more. Trossard did not come on the pitch. There's so many players that if we have everyone fit, a lot of players are going to miss out. So would Kivior and Zinchenko be happy, not even making the bench at all, literally being like the 8th and 9th choice in terms of defenders? Because right now it looks like Mosquera is ahead of Kivior. Lewis Kelly is definitely ahead of Zinchenko. Calafiori is definitely ahead of Zinchenko. And players like Timber or White are not going to miss out from the bench if they're fit. So there are players who are going to miss out, and Zinchenko is one of them. He missed out yesterday. He probably will play like the Carabao Cup games and the FA Cup games, but in terms of the league games, you're not even going to see him on the bench. In the Champions League, you're allowed like 13 players on the bench. You're going to see him on the bench. But will he come on? That's a different question. So Zinchenko is not in Arsenal's plans at all. Now, as a backup, if he didn't get a team, he would still play, as I said, in the Carabao Cup in those competitions. But, Carabao Cup comes like once every 2 months or something. Is he going to be waiting for every 2 months to play a game? I doubt. So Fenerbahce are interested in getting him. But let's see, because they're talking about something like 10 million. That is too little, man. But yeah, let's see if we can sell these players for good money. We are still struggling to sell these players. All of them are still here. Like every one of these players, even Lokonga is still here. Obviously, they're not in the squad yesterday. Lokonga, Vieira, Nelson, that's why I didn't talk about them. They're not going to be part of the squad. Those ones are going to be sold. But the ones who have a chance of staying, like Kivior, Zinchenko, Trossard, some of them are not even on the bench yesterday. So how many players are we going to sell? Because we are now going to 19th of August. And so are you actually going to sell like 10 players in the space of 1 week? Let's see how it goes. But Zinchenko at the moment doesn't seem like he's going to stay. He might still end up staying, but we are not going to be seeing him on the bench. We're only going to be seeing him like in the cup competition. So that's the latest on Zinchenko. Another player who did not feature in the squad yesterday was Fabio Vieira. Arsenal have been told by Stuttgart to lower their demands for Fabio Vieira, who want to pay a maximum of 17 million, including add-ons. The Gunners want a deal closer to 25 million, but Stuttgart are ready to move on if talks break down. So Arsenal want 25 million for Vieira, but Stuttgart have said they're not going to pay more than 70 million. Is it 70 million plus add-ons? 17 million including add-ons. The 17 million already includes add-ons. So they want to pay us like 14 million plus 3 million in add-ons when Arsenal wants a package of 25 million. The problem with selling to those teams, Italian teams and German teams and Dutch teams, they're not going to come and pay you 35 million, 30 million for Fabio Vieira. Even if you had to sell Kivior today to Germany, they're not going to be wanting to pay more than 20 million. That's the problem of selling players to, those teams. You want to be selling your players to Saudi Arabia, to Bayern Munich, to Barcelona, so that, they can pay you a lot of money. But when players are linked to Stuttgart and Spezia in Italy, you're not going to get more than 20 million for this players. So unfortunately, Arsenal do not want to sell him for less than that, and Stuttgart do not want to pay more than that. So it depends on how we look at it. We always complain about Arsenal selling players for less. So if we still don't want Arsenal to sell players for less, then you'd say, no, forget about him, Stuttgart. Let's wait for a different team to come and make an offer for Vieira. you could say that if you want as much money as we can get. But if you're just desperate to sell Vieira completely and get him off the squad, then you can just go ahead and sell him for that 17 million. Now, he's not on high wages at Arsenal. He actually gets paid less than 50,000 per week at Arsenal. So I don't think Arsenal in a rush like to get rid of him in terms of the wage bill. So Arsenal will probably wait for enough money to come in for Vieira before letting him go. But he's definitely not going to get an opportunity. Nwaneri is the backup for Odegaard. Odegaard is still going to start majority of the games. Now we have Nwaneri. Now we have Dauman. I mean, we still need another attacker for sure, but it looks like Arsenal are going to go more for a left winger. I would have loved an attacking midfield. I mean, Rodgers was like the second player I wanted after Gyokeres at the beginning of the transfer window. I wanted that kind of player, but it doesn't look likely. So for Vieira is definitely not going to be an Arsenal player. But how much are you going to end up getting for him? I don't know if it's going to be that 25 million or that 17 million. Let's see. But Stuttgart do not want to go above that. Now, Kiwi as well was not in the squad yesterday, because you cannot have as many defenders as out of 9 subs, you cannot have 4 defenders plus a goalkeeper. You need attacking players. So you have to have Havertz on the bench, or Gyokeres, whoever is on the bench at that point has to be on the bench. You need a striker on the bench or a forward player on the bench. Let's just use forward player. In terms of Madueke, obviously he's going to be on the bench. And then I was even surprised when Nørgaard was not on the bench, because the game against Man United, maybe you're going to be needed to defend. I thought Nørgaard would definitely be on the bench, but he was not. So I guess it's going to be horses for courses, whichever kind of game we are playing. If you're playing against a Leeds at home, maybe you're going to only have 1 or 2 defenders on the bench and all the other players attacking players. But for a player like Kiwi yesterday, because he already had Lewis Kelly on the bench, Timber on the bench, Mosquera on the bench, we didn't really go for him as well. So does he want to move on? I think Kiwi would want to go and play fast team football. I don't think Arsenal want to sell Kiwi. I personally don't want to sell Kiwi, because there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games coming up. We've only played 1 game. I don't think you can start saying, okay, we're not going to use Kiwi, you're not going to use Nørgaard. Nah. You're going to use those players. By the time we get to October and the Champions League starts and someone is suspended and someone is missing out through an injury, it only takes, Gabriel or Calafiori, one of them, to get suspended or get an injury for 1 or 2 weeks, and then we'll all of a sudden need Kiwi to start in a game. So it could be Mosquera and Saliba, but if you're looking for a left-sided player, if you don't have Calafiori or Gabriel, you have to use Kiwi. So also, you don't want to keep a player out of the squad completely for 2 months and then you bring them on against Real Madrid. No, you don't want that. Although Kiwi did that well last season, but you want them to be used here and there. But Kiwi as well, let's see what happens with him too. Now, that is in terms of sales. That is the latest on sales. Now, let's talk about players that we were linked to in terms of players coming to Arsenal. Now, according to David Ornstein, Arsenal have been heavily linked with Rodrygo at Real Madrid, but I do not know of any activity on that one, even though they've looked into it in the past. So basically, David Ornstein says we have been linked to Rodrygo for a long time, basically since this transfer window started. But when it got to around mid-July, I started giving up on this deal, because it was looking like he wants to stay at Real Madrid. It was looking like, in terms of wages, that's not going to pay him 250k to 300k a week. It was starting to look like, even if he leaves Real Madrid, does he really want to join Arsenal? Especially when he started hearing, Bayern Munich would want him, and PSG would want him. And recently, again, we've had Man City might want Rodrygo, Liverpool might want Rodrygo. For him, it's a different case, Gyokeres wanted to join Arsenal, Mosquera wanted to join Arsenal. I don't feel like Rodrygo wants to join Arsenal, even if he leaves Real Madrid. Would probably be like his 3rd or 4th choice, unless things change. But anyway, I don't think he wants to leave Real Madrid anyway. So the Rodrygo one is a complicated one. Now, the only option is maybe a loan deal that was mentioned a week ago. I don't think we're going to buy Rodrygo. We're not going to pay 80, 90 million for Rodrygo. That is not going to happen. In terms of a loan deal, if Real Madrid accept it, and if Rodrygo accepts going out on loan, maybe you have an opportunity on a loan deal. But, as David Austin has said, that one has kind of, gone quiet. There's not been any activity recently. So for Rodrygo, unless something comes back up again, let's see. Because, players like Mosquera, we made a bid it was rejected, and then we went back for Mosquera like after 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We didn't hear anything about him for like the whole of the end of June and the beginning of July, but eventually we signed him. Some deals we've done that. Even Zubimendi, we were close to signing him. We signed Zubimendi like in February or something, but we came to finally announce it like at the beginning of July. So maybe it could be that way, but I'm still not confident about Rodrygo. Like 5% chance Rodrygo would play for Arsenal. That was a big dream at the beginning of the transfer window. We were like, wow, imagine getting Gyokeres and Rodrygo. That would be crazy. But no, I don't think it's going to happen. I still feel like he's going to stay there. Weirdly, because there's a World Cup coming up. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play for Real Madrid, but that is what is happening with Rodrygo. Now, Eze. Now, unfortunately for Eze as well, guys, at the moment, from what you're hearing from the journalists, it is looking like Arsenal are going to go for a left winger and not Rodrygo. Not Eze, sorry. So maybe you might end up getting Rodrygo. I mean, if Arsenal gets Rodrygo and not Eze, I still feel people will be, slightly happier than not getting any of them. Obviously, if you don't get any of them, I don't think we have enough forward players. We have to do something on that left side. If we get Rodrygo and you don't get Eze, I think fans will be able to live with that. Because at the moment, it doesn't look like Arsenal trying to go for Eze. We've said we want him. Eze would want to join Arsenal. Arsenal have said they actually have enough money to pay for him, but they don't want to pay that 68 million, and it's gone completely quiet. So, according to Fabrizio, Tottenham and Crystal Palace chairmen Daniel Levy and Steve Parish are in direct contact today for Eberechi Eze. So, yeah, Arsenal are not trying to stop that in any way. So it's looking like Arsenal are happy for Eze to move on. Spurs are willing to pay 55 million plus 5 million in add-ons. So Spurs don't want to pay that 68 million as well, that Arsenal are refusing to pay. So unless something changes, unless Arsenal go in last minute for him, I mean, we had that, Man United were trying to sign Gyokeres. We've had that before. We had Man City making a bid for Rice, but those players eventually still joined Arsenal. Unless Arsenal, keep on talking about, other left wingers and other winger targets, and if we feel like we cannot get them and then go back for Eze, maybe. But at the moment, I said I was 60% Eze to join Arsenal, and that is why I wasn't. For Gyokeres, I said I was 100%. For Eze, I've always said 60%. But as of now, it's like, yeah, probably it would be 60% for him to join Tottenham, 40% to join Arsenal, maybe even higher for Tottenham at the moment, because Tottenham are really pushing for him because they don't really have anyone to play in that position. Maddison is injured, Son left, so they have 2 spots there for Eze to play. For us, we are not really pushing for him because it looks like we feel like the left winger position is more, we are desperate in that position more. Now, I still think we needed an attacking midfielder because, what happens if we need like 2 attacking midfielders in the team? It's not every game Zubimendi and Rice are going to start together. Games like Man United and Chelsea, yes, they're going to start. But what about Leeds at home and Burnley at home? Or didn't you prefer 2 attacking players in that midfield, Odegaard and someone else? Or even, it doesn't even have to be Odegaard, it could be Noni and someone else. But at the moment, it doesn't look like it does. It's not about money. From what we've been told, Arsenal still have a lot of money to spend. They can still buy Eze without selling any player. But we've not really tried to sign him. We've tried to sign him, but we've not really made a bid. We've just asked about him and said, okay, we're not paying 68 million. Let us know when you reduce the money. That is pretty much what has happened. But Crystal Palace are now going to reduce the money. If you saw Chelsea against Crystal Palace yesterday, Eze is very good. Like, he's literally their best player. So they're not going to sell him for 40, 50 million. Now they're going to try to get as much money as possible for him. So for Eze, I'm not that confident. Right now, I'm not that confident. I still feel like Arsenal is going to sign someone, but I don't know who. We have no idea who, because at the moment we've only heard about Eze, we've only heard about Rodrygo, and no other winger. Lookman could be a possibility. Lookman has still not yet left his team, so maybe that is a possibility. I have no idea if we can still try and get him. Let's hope so. Because at the moment, Martinelli it's not working on that left side. So there's no chance we can survive with Martinelli the whole season on that left side. With Trossard, we don't know if he's going to stay, if he's going to leave. And when I said last week, I think it was Wednesday, you cannot let go of Trossard and not sign anyone. That one cannot happen. If you're trying to sign Trossard, you have to buy someone on that side. So let's see what happens with that one. Let's hope that we can get these deals done, at least one of them. Please subscribe and smash the like button. Says RK, thank you. I'm doing good. We beat Man United yesterday. I mean, I've seen the reaction. But I mean, it's true. It wasn't the best of performances, but in terms of beating Man United at Old Trafford, I'm not going to be sad after beating Man United at Old Trafford. As I said on that short video, I'm not going to be like sad and frustrated after beating Man United. I know the performance can be better. If we play like that against Leeds and struggle to score, then that is different. But beating Man United at their place, the first game of the season is not going to be perfect. I'm absolutely fine with that. 3 points, I'm doing good. And do you think we shall bring in another new player? I think we are. We will bring a new player. Whether it's a permanent deal or a loan deal, I don't know. I think we're definitely going to bring another player in, especially if we let go of players like Trossard, we're definitely going to bring someone in. But in terms of defensively, because we have like 9 players, if we sell both Kivio and Zinchenko, I don't think we're going to bring in someone. We're going to bank on the 7 players we have, and hopefully they don't get injured. Midfield, I think we're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to sign anyone. In midfield, I mean, we are able to sub off Rice and bring on Merino. We're able to even not have Nørgaard on the bench when he's still a very good option. So I think there we could be okay. But the forward positions, I'm still a little bit worried. Madueke came in at left wing yesterday, but Madueke, that is not his kind of game. That is why I wanted Martinelli to start. In terms of defending against Man United and Diallo and Boem on that side, you want Martinelli to do that job, not really Madueke or even Trossard. So if Saka needs a rest, who plays on the right side? Right side, probably Madueke. Then who will play on the left side? We won't have anyone if you've sold Trossard and let go of any other player that we have, like Nelson. We don't have too many players to play on that side. Let's see. Doesn't look likely, Tamina. Doesn't look likely right now. We have to bring one midfielder before closing. Which kind of midfielder? Do you mean like an attacking midfielder or just a defensive midfielder? CK, watching from Gambia, says Mohammed. Appreciate it. Any updates about Eze? We've talked about Eze. Nørgaard and Kivio. So you're only allowed 9 players on the bench. When everyone is fit, someone is going to miss out. So, yesterday we had Lewis Kelly or Kepa, Lewis Kelly. Who am I forgetting? Mosquera and Timber on the bench. That is already 4. Goalkeeper and 3 defenders. So you cannot also have Kivio and also have Zinchenko on the bench. If you also have Kivio, that means you're either going to leave Nwaneri out of the squad as well, or you're going to leave Havertz out of the squad as well, which is not going to happen because Havertz is the one that can come on for Gyokeres. Merino can also come in for Gyokeres, but he's probably going to come in for Rice or Zubimendi in that midfield. So maybe they felt like Nørgaard is also not needed in this particular game. Now, next week, it could be Nørgaard on the bench. Kivio could be on the bench next week, but maybe Ben White went off yesterday, right? He with a slight knock. Maybe Ben White does not feature in the squad next week. Maybe even if he has a slight niggle, they say, you know what, we're going to leave you out of the squad, have a rest until the Liverpool game. So yeah, we are not going to have everyone on the bench. You're only allowed 9 people on the bench, and we have like 15 or 16 players who can be on the bench right now. So you're not going to have everyone. Good afternoon to you, and thank you for your wonderful information. Thank you, Alhaji. Thank you for watching. I've heard about Semenyo to Arsenal, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't think it's going to happen. He just signed a new contract recently. For the problem with those kind of deals or those kind of targets, it is very easy for them to link that kind of player to Arsenal. Now, if we hadn't signed Gyokeres, you'd hear Arsenal want Wood from Nottingham Forest because he scored 2 goals on the weekend. Now, it is very easy for them to do that because Semenyo scored twice the other day, and Arsenal are looking for a winger. What is the best information to put out there? Arsenal wants Semenyo. Now, we were linked to Semenyo back in May. There was rumors about Arsenal probably getting Semenyo. But yeah, there's no chance Bournemouth would sell Semenyo right now unless you're paying like 100 million for him. We need Eze in Arsenal this season. I'll be happy if Arsenal sign Eze. That is what we need. I don't think we'd be okay if we just didn't sign anyone completely. No, we need someone else up front for sure. We need another left winger because Martinelli is off form. At least Rodrygo says Minister. Yeah, he's completely out of form. Like, it is very sad to watch. Like, usually Martinelli would not get subbed off in the 59th minute in a game against Man United when you need to also defend. But yeah, there's literally, I don't know if it's also, it's a combination of him not, playing to his strengths, obviously, wrong passes, wrong decisions. Yesterday as well, he was trying the overhead kick. He completely missed the ball. The confidence is not there at all. And, on top of that, he's struggling to go past players. And even if we put it away from him and focus on ourselves, we're not even really trying to play those through passes to him. So it's basically a complete waste of time when he's on the pitch right now. So, I mean, he's still going to play. He's still not going to leave Arsenal. He's going to be trusted if he's going to leave Arsenal. But at the moment, it's not looking that great at all. We definitely need a left winger. We 100% need someone to play there. Even that doesn't mean if you sign a left winger, Martinelli's on the bench forever. No, just competition. Yeah, just bring competition. If that player comes in and plays better than Martinelli, then Martinelli becomes the second option off the bench. But you cannot just have Martinelli by himself because the confidence is shot completely. Let's see. Shelley says that I used the same tactic he used for Newcastle at the Emirates last season, so I'm not worried about yesterday's game. I'm not personally worried about yesterday's game. There's been, I mean, I don't want to say an overreaction. Everyone has their own opinion. If you feel Odegaard played poorly, that is fine. If you feel like Man United were better than Arsenal yesterday, that is fine. If you feel like, Gyokeres was poor. Someone commented yesterday on a video and said, the tactics and because of Odegaard or Gyokeres is already a flop at Arsenal, and I couldn't even reply. I just logged out and just went to bed. I was like, yeah, what can I say to that? Gyokeres is already a flop after one game. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say to that. So it depends on how you look at everything. But for me, going to Man United, a lot of teams are going to struggle there this season. It's not everything that is going to go there and keep a clean sheet first of all. So it's never going to be easy going there. Performance-wise, the fact that we had like 7 players who didn't play well, you cannot do that against other teams. I know that you cannot have a game where Saka does not play well, Gyokeres does not play well, Martinelli does not play well, Rice does not play well, Zubimendi does not play well in a game where you're playing against a top team. You're going to lose. But in terms of a reaction, I'm seeing people saying, if you play like that against Liverpool, you're going to lose 5-0. No, when was the last time Arsenal lost 5-0? We're not going to lose 5-0 to Liverpool. So that is what I mean by overreaction. But hey, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. My name is Ibrahim, watching you regularly from Sierra Leone. Thank you, Ibrahim. I heard about Antoine Semenyo. For now, it's just rumors. That's why I chose not to speak about it. So it's just rumors. It's easy for media companies to do that. They know Arsenal want a left winger. They know Semenyo scored 2 goals. Let's link Arsenal to Semenyo right now. But in terms of signing, if it's not Eze or Rodrygo, we might sign someone surprising that we haven't been linked to recently. So let's wait and see. I mean, if it's a Lookman or someone, I'd still be happy. I'd be like, okay, Lookman, that's a new player on the left wing. I'd be very happy. I wouldn't have been as happy as enough if we get any of these 2 players. This would be absolutely incredible. But we just have to survive and hope that we actually get someone. We cannot not sign anyone. That would not be enough at all. Let's see. Manuel says, good afternoon, bro. Odegaard was very poor in decision making and performance than Martinelli, and Saka wasn't in his confidence as he was known. Yeah, 7 or 8 players didn't play well yesterday. We need Eze or Semenyo is in everything possible. Eze is a possibility. Semenyo, I don't think is a possibility. Semenyo just signed a new contract like 1 month ago. Bournemouth have sold a lot of players, so many players, especially defensively. I don't know if they're also going to sell Semenyo. I don't think so. So let's just hope we can get someone. I don't think Arsenal are not serious currently in this transfer market, even so they're going to get only 1 more signing in this window. Yeah, I think you're going to get 1 more signing, but who? Let's hope it's a good player, because remember last season we got 1 more signing at the end and it was Sterling. Let's hope it's not that kind of signing. Let's hope it's a signing that is going to take us to the next level. Hopefully that is the case. So let's see what happens. So that is the latest. Saliba, new contract talks ongoing. Zinchenko, Vieira, Kivio, all of them are not in the squad yesterday. So are they going to all leave? Nelson as well, Karlheim, Lokonga, we already know those ones are going to leave. And then Rodrygo and Eze are both looking unlikely, and we've been linked to both of those players for a long time this transfer window. So who else are we going to go for? Which other wingers? Because the other wingers that I was thinking at the beginning of the transfer window, they've already gone. Bakayoko from PSV, Adingra from Brighton, all of those players have already moved on. Lookman is still available. Fabrizio already told us Leao is not going to leave AC Milan, so which other player is available? Absolutely no idea. Are Arsenal going to end up keeping Trossard at Arsenal? Because yesterday he did not come on. Madueke came on ahead of Trossard, so that is already a problem for Trossard if, Martinelli and Madueke are both ahead of him on that side. No one knows. 13 days to go, less than 2 weeks. We have to decide quickly what we're going to do. I think in terms of transfers, we have to finalize everything before that Liverpool game. We will beat Leeds this weekend, hopefully. We won't struggle in that one. With the squad that we have, we are going to beat Leeds this weekend. And then the following week, it's Liverpool. And then after that, how many days? That will be... So 31st. So after Liverpool, the next day, the transfer window will be closing. So we won't have too much time to get a deal done if we haven't done so. So I'm so happy we won yesterday because of that as well. There's a part of me that was thinking, if you lose to Man United and you go into that Liverpool game, there would have been a chance. If Liverpool beat Newcastle this weekend and Man City beat Tottenham, you could easily go into that game against Liverpool next week being 3 points behind them, and the pressure would be so much already. You'd be thinking you have to go there and beat Liverpool. If they beat you, they'll be 6 points ahead of you after 3 games. It would have been a nightmare. So beating Man United, make sure that next week when you go to Liverpool, we could be ahead of them if they drop points to Newcastle. We could be level on points if they beat Newcastle and we beat Leeds. Or, you'd expect us to beat Leeds, so you'd expect Liverpool not to be ahead of us. It'd be either equal on points or they'd be behind us. Same with Man City, because they're playing Tottenham. They usually struggle in that game. So it would be perfect if we go into that game against Liverpool next week ahead of them. I really trust Arsenal in terms of defense, even though Paul said we didn't defend well yesterday. We gave them a few chances, but when it comes to Arsenal against Liverpool and Arsenal against Man City, I really trust players like Gabriel and Saliba. I usually feel like we're not going to concede more than 1 or 2 goals in that particular game. The last 2-3 games, we've drawn 2-2 with Liverpool in all of them. I think like the last 5 games, we've drawn a lot of them as well. So let's hope we can beat Leeds. Between now and that Liverpool game, let's hope we can get the signing that we need done. And then they can, at least play in that Liverpool game. So for the Leeds one, we have to do with what we have. Gyokeres, Havertz, Martinelli, Madueke, we have to use those ones that we have against Leeds. Hopefully we can play differently in that game and win the game. But I'm still happy we beat Man United. I'm not going to be sad about beating Man United. It's great. There's a point where we were losing 8-2 to Man United, 4-0 to Man United. For you guys who remember when you played Man United in a Champions League final and Cristiano Ronaldo hit a free kick from the middle of the pitch, those days were tough. Those days they used to bat us home and away. So it's really good for us to win 1-0 at Old Trafford and, actually not be that happy. That means we've really changed. We expect to win 2-3 goals at Old Trafford when we've won there like 4 or 5 times in our history in the Premier League. I have no fear playing against Liverpool. Let's just keep moving. All will be well. Those teams are good, but I'm not scared because we played like that against Man United, we're going to get trashed by Liverpool. No. As long as it says at Arsenal, we're not going to be trashed by any team. 4-0, 5-0, those ones are not going to happen. So that is a huge positive. I know that as long as it says an Arsenal coach, we're not going to be losing 4-0 or 5-0 to these teams. But in terms of play, you have to play differently, obviously, because last season we went 2-0 down to Liverpool very, very quickly. You never know if they click, they can easily score those goals against you. But let's see, we are going to play like that against Liverpool. Hopefully, like yesterday, in terms of players playing poorly, hopefully that is the worst that we've seen this season, and you're not going to see that again. But that is the latest, guys. I appreciate you watching. Thank you, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.